developer. You taught me everything I needed to learn to do the research that got me going on my quest back in 2017. You taught me how to use the GIS on the laptop and the picnic bench in your farm. I was very wide-eyed with your ideas about controlling taxes and appropriate use of TIF and your plans to regulate TIF. You felt it was being spent improperly. So I'm a little shocked that several months ago you slammed the development that privately you said Lake Cook was this great corridor, and a year earlier, and that same developer is bringing us $2.4 million a year, and this guy, you're granting him TIF money, and he's telling us he can bring us $2 million in the time of 20 years' time. I asked the Plan Commission, and I believe I forwarded the email to you, to please ask Mr. Janak what he anticipates the cost of road repairs would be to Wolf Road and the surrounding roads that these heavy trucks would be using over the course of 20 years. I'm no mathematician, but I imagine that the cost to maintain those roads after all this heavy weight would cost more than the $2 million they're going to bring in 20 years' time. And that really, I saw you really making decisions to go against what I thought you were about when you ran for office. When you go to the GIS, it has this different filters. There's like lot lines, and you can get the PIN numbers, and businesses operated on different properties. And when you click on your property at the Horcher farm, it lists Horcher Farms, it lists Horcher Brothers Enterprises, and towing or something like that. I sometimes wonder if you're giving some of these petitioners their way, because it's hard for you to say no to somebody this 6B tax incentive when you are claiming affidavits to have no other use of your property other than agricultural, and you're unlawfully obtaining 10% property tax. And in my opinion, based on my understanding of the law and what I look at these affidavits, I got a box this big from the Cook County assessor going back decades on your property. And I think the one thing I do know about you is I believe that it would be very hard for you to tell someone no when you're getting a benefit and it's not straight up. This says here, I mean, I've got these going back for a decade, well over a decade, these farm affidavits. And it's specifically, it's pursuant to this law that defines farm as like to have the sole use solely for agriculture and no other businesses. And at the bottom of page 1, it says indicate any income other than the income from farmland use for that land. And the affidavit says there are no other non-agricultural related businesses running out of there. I've seen welding going on in there. I've been there. You've got automotive repair body shop going on. And so you, on your webpage, you said, the previous guy stopped stealing from Wheeling, but in my understanding, what I'm looking at here, your financial crimes far surpass, they dwarf your predecessor. On the second page of this affidavit, it gives all the pins, including all the pins for your property. And each pin has the portion being used for farming, agriculture, and the portion not. And the acres not farmed, you have to have an explanation why those acres are not being farmed. And it says that because of creek and farm buildings. What's going on in that one building is a lot of welding and automotive repair. Ray Lang, you asked this petitioner, when are you going to get that paved, that truck parking lot? But you sat on the board with this man for what, 12, 16 years? He's operating a commercial truck parking lot, and you never asked him, when are you going to get that paved? You're applying a different standard to people connected to the board or not connected to the board. It's wrong. You need to apply the law equally. And I'm actually not in favor of this. I think it's a bad idea because I trust our professional staff. My FOIAs to different towns, Melanophy, he has not done the kind of work that he used to do since he's been employed by me, but I'm telling you, they're buying his books. I FOIA'd 30 villages surrounding, and I'm getting some $40 receipt for they're buying his books, so they're looking to him for the advice. And I'm wondering, if you vote for this, if it's going to be the first time in Wheeling's history that they went against a unanimous decline of the Plan Commission. You need to step down. You're no longer credible
5 minutes.
as the highest elected official. You need to step down, Pat. It's time.
Wilson.